These here have been a long time coming. What I'm holding are the newly released, and what they claim to be the most advanced Beats product yet, the Powerbeats Pro 2. There's a ton of exciting stuff, so today we'll be taking a closer look to see if they're really worth the hype, after what feels like an eternity. I'm Chris from DIN, let's get into it. The unboxing. Nice, clean, efficient packaging. You've got the Powerbeats themselves, stock standard paperwork and a Beats sticker, and then 5 different ear tips from extra small to extra large, which is great to see. We've also got some really nice colorways this time around, that being jet black, quicksand, hyper purple, and the stunning electric orange. We do also have this black in for review, and they're both super clean. Beats have always offered bold color choices, and this new generation is no exception. There isn't any charging cable included in the box, but it is just a USB-C cable that you'll need. Okay, I first want to start with the build and design, because there's a lot to like here. The ear hooks alone were probably the biggest reason why the original Powerbeats were such a popular alternative over Apple's own AirPods. And if you are one of those people who just couldn't get them to stay in your ears, do yourself a favor and give these a go. These hooks are 50% smaller than the OG Powerbeats, but remain super stable on my ears. And they're made of a nickel titanium alloy, so the hooks should retain the form even throughout years of use. Remember, these are primarily sports or fitness earbuds, and the fact that I can move my head around without worrying about them falling out is a big plus for me. To compare, my Galaxy Bud Pro 2s have never played too nicely with my ears, and though my AirPod Pro 2s do feel pretty secure, they're nowhere near as planted as these. Of course, fit and feel is subjective, but with a choice of 5 different ear tips, you should be able to create a good seal without issue. Now, the earbuds themselves do feel very high quality. They don't feel cheap or flimsy, and they're roughly 8.5 grams each. For comparison, AirPod Pro 2s are 5.3 grams, and the OG Powerbeats were 11. The weight does feel evenly distributed around each bud, so you kind of forget you're wearing them after a while. And lo and behold, these still have physical buttons. No touch controls in these. You have a volume rocker and a multi-function one to control your ANC and play pause music, both of which can be customized in the app. I will say that haptic feedback instead of the physical buttons would have been nice. With these Powerbeats, pressing the buttons do reduce a noticeably loud click, which can be a bit jarring, unlike my AirPod Pro 2s, which use haptic motors for a softer, more subtle click. It isn't a deal breaker, but it is something to keep in mind. Their buds themselves are also IPX4 rated, meaning sweat and water resistant, just do your best not to get the case itself wet. Now, one of the bigger complaints about the OGs was the sheer size of the charging case. That thing was a real chonker. This time round, Beats have slimmed down the case by 33%, and it is quite a bit lighter than I expected. Still not as small as the AirPods case, but that's okay given the much longer battery life of the case and the buds themselves, which we'll talk about shortly. Pairing button, LED indicator and wireless charging all make an appearance. No MagSafe here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see third-party accessories for these buds coming out soon. The inside of the case does have really strong magnets, so the buds just snap into place. No finesse required. Okay, this one's a big deal for us. Sound quality. The both of us are AirPod and Galaxy Bud daily drivers, but we do also own our fair share of higher end audio gear. When we had the chance to sit down with one of the marketing leads for Beats, one of the burning questions I had was the tuning of these buds, and it ultimately boiled down to retaining the same fun listening experience whilst delivering a more mature sound profile. In a nutshell, these Powerbeats sound great. Make no mistake, they're still capable of being absolute bass cannons if you want to EQ them as such, but out of the box, the Powerbeats 2 offer a much more balanced sound signature. If you are coming from Beats of old, you're going to find these offering a much more clear and less muddy sound. The tuning doesn't go wacky when you switch across listening modes, looking at you BudTube pros, and no, you don't get that suction feeling when ANC is enabled. This evolution in sound quality seems to have taken cues from the AirPod Pro 2s and Apple's shift towards that more refined, natural tuning, and we're all for it. When we first started using them, we were actually kind of surprised with the amount of top end they gave, giving a nice boost to vocals, guitars, and widening out the soundstage a bit. The bass has a bit more body than my AirPod Pro 2s, but lacks the same degree of tightness. This isn't always a bad thing. If anything, you probably want that more boomy, looser bass during workouts. They're definitely a very fun listen, and should suit whatever you're listening to. Music, movies, podcasts, whatever. Nice job Beats, on to Justin. Okay, So the Powerbeats Pro 2 have a lot of new features stuffed into them. But the good news is that unlike many of Apple's other offerings, most of these features are actually available to us Android users. This includes the all-new heart rate monitoring, button customization, Locate My, adaptive EQ, in-ear detection, and, equally as important, OTA software updates. You will need the Beats app to customize these features to your liking, but if you're on iOS, no app is needed, and you'll be able to do all of this natively. For us Android users, this just means you won't have to awkwardly ask your friend for the iPhone just to customize the double tap. Thank you, Beats. Now, let's talk about that heart rate monitoring. Historically, this feature hasn't been too well executed in earbuds. Whether that was Sennheiser's $500 Momentum Sports or the Soundcore Liberty 4s, there was always a compromise. Be it inaccurate tracking, mediocre sound quality, or something else. Well, that's not the case with the all-new Powerbeats. The Powerbeats Pro 2 use a combination of LED sensors and accelerometers to deliver precise tracking, and in my testing, they live up to the promise. Firstly, the Powerbeats won't be constantly tracking your heart rate. If you're on iOS, just start a workout with one of the compatible apps, and it will automatically start tracking. If you're on Android, double tap and hold the multi-function button, or just use the Beats app for the buds to start tracking. To test the tracking, I gave the Powerbeats a spin during my workout using the Peloton app, and it seemed to track my heart rate pretty consistently. For those more serious about the training, this could be a genuinely useful feature, especially if you're working towards specific heart rate zones. Using the Powerbeats means you won't need to carry around a dedicated HRM, and you can even leave your smartwatch at home too if you want. Definitely a huge win for convenience. Some more good news is that Beats claims using the heart rate monitoring won't have any discernible impact on battery life, which in our testing we found to be true. As for overall battery performance, let's just say you won't need to worry. The new Powerbeats deliver a whopping 10 hours for each earbud, and an extra 35 with the case without ANC enabled, or 8 hours and 28 hours respectively with ANC enabled. And, if you're low on juice, a quick 5-minute charge will grant you an extra hour and a half of listening time. It will take 2 hours to fully charge the case, so keep that in mind. Now, perhaps the best reason to ditch your old Powerbeats is the new ANC and transparency modes we've talked about a few times already. And it's powered by the same Apple H2 chip found inside the AirPod Pro 2s and AirPod 4s. This is great news, because you know battery life, pairing speed, latency, and ANC are going to be really good. In my testing, the Powerbeats are able to block out the majority of low to upper mid frequencies, so things like a car engine or a fan, but they do struggle with higher pitch frequencies like my clicky keyboard here. Comparing them to my AirPod Pro 2s, which are widely regarded as having the best ANC period, this is maybe a step below that, so still really good and definitely beats out Chris's Galaxy Bud 2 Pros. The AirPods are able to block out a wider range of frequencies, most notably higher pitched noises like distant chatter or background noise in a cafe, and the transparency mode is a similar story. With my AirPods, it's almost as if I'm not even wearing them. The microphones and whatever behind the scenes processing is happening, it's that good. On the Powerbeats, it's not quite as seamless. I can definitely tell that the microphones are amplifying my voice, and it sounds just a tad unnatural. That said, for a pair of sports-focused earbuds, the ANC and transparency is still very impressive, and definitely near the best of the best. Okay, so the Powerbeats Pro 2 are coming in at the same price as the originals, $249 USD or 399 Aussie, which definitely places them right up there in the wireless earbud market. That's a pretty good chunk of change, which then begs the question, are these really worth it? Well, we say yes, a resounding yes. Beats have made numerous enhancements across the board. Not only do they play nicely with Android, but they also just sound really good, and have near top tier ANC and transparency modes. Add to that the new heart rate monitoring, stellar battery life, Apple's H2 chip and all its magic, and we're having a good time with these. We would like to thank Beats for providing these units for review. And, if you're interested, we have also written a more in-depth review on the DRN website, so check that out down below. And, by the time this video goes live, you'll be able to find the Powerbeats on Apple's website and JB Hi-Fi if you're in Australia, with on-shelf stock starting on the 13th of February. This has been Justin and Chris from DRN, thanks for watching.